Meet the woman who's pulled off one of the wildest scams Japan's ever seen, roping in over 120 unsuspecting men along the way. She's a pro at playing the part, dressing up like a cute, youthful girl next door. Picture this: a white off-shoulder top, black floral shorts, a cute bow in her hair, and that flawless, pink glow makeup. Hard to believe this innocent-looking, 38-year-old could be anything but sweet, right? But here's the twist: beneath that charming facade lies a mastermind who's perfected the art of deception. And she's not some newbie. She's been doing this long enough to leave a trail of broken hearts and empty wallets. Her allure? It's enough to leave every guy she meets spellbound. Want to know how she did it? Stick around, because this story's about to get wild. Welcome to True Crime Story for You. Hit the subscribe button and stick around, because this story's about to get wild. Prepare for a jaw-dropping dive into one of Japan's most infamous financial and romantic scandals. Buckle up for an inside look at the unbelievable story of Setsuko, the ultimate queen of scams. Yamabe Setsuko, born in 1955, hailed from the small town of Ichijo in Japan's Kyushu region, a quiet place with barely 30,000 people. Her dad drove buses, her mom stayed home, and little Setsuko? Well, she had the charm. Even as a middle schooler, she had boys fighting over who'd carry her books. She barely lifted a finger to get what she wanted, just flashed a cute smile or pouted, and someone was at her service. And if she got caught slacking off, just a sad look was enough to soften even the strictest teacher. But it wasn't enough for Setsuko to just be popular. She loved bragging to her girlfriends, soaking up their jealous glances, feeling like she was the one everyone wanted to be. With each compliment, her confidence shot up, making her feel like she was meant for something way more thrilling. After high school, though, Setsuko didn't go to college. She got a job at a local hospital instead, still finding ways to keep guys around her. Her dad, noticing her constant attention from men, thought it was best to settle things down before rumors spread, so he arranged a marriage. At just 19, Setsuko found herself married to a hard-working car mechanic. He was a decent guy, the marriage went smoothly, and they had a son and a daughter. For a while, Setsuko was the perfect housewife, but deep down, she was bored out of her mind. Stuck in the same old routine, Setsuko's mind wandered back to her youth. She couldn't help but feel the thrill of the outside world calling her name. Was this really all her life would be? Cooking, cleaning, and raising kids? But then, something happened, something that shattered her quiet life and pushed her right back into the world she'd always dreamed of. Trust me, Japan was about to be in for the shock of a lifetime. Sound intriguing? Let us know in the comments, if you were in Setsuko's shoes, would you have stayed in the family life or chased the thrill? From the moment her father passed away, Setsuko's last tether to a normal life snapped. Suddenly, she was free, no longer bound by family expectations, no longer pretending to be a dutiful wife. Even with kids at home, her charm was far from fading. When her husband was away on business trips, she'd doll up, head out to any social scene, and flirt with countless men, building up her own little black book. She didn't care about her family's reputation anymore. This was her life, and she was living it her way. By 30, she finally divorced her husband, leaving him with the kids and officially kicking off her wild phase. As soon as Setsuko was single, it was like unleashing a lioness. She became a master at working the room, jumping from one high-class venue to another, scouting for wealthy men who might just fall for her. She wasn't exactly a knockout, but she had experience and a keen eye for opportunity. Once she spotted a potential target, she'd make her move, acting bubbly and energetic, and even throwing in some playful touches here and there. She'd bat her lashes, tilt her head, and flash a smile that could melt ice. Could you imagine how hard it was for those men to resist? But she knew that flirtation alone wouldn't secure their wallets. Setsuko had a strategy. She'd mentally categorize each man she met, analyzing their personalities and figuring out exactly how to play them. Each encounter was carefully orchestrated, from her makeup and outfit to her demeanor, all tailored to mirror each man's dream girl. With these moves, she practically bulldozed her way into their hearts and, more importantly, their bank accounts. And once they were hooked, anything she wanted was hers: cash, cars, jewelry, you name it. Her network of admirers only grew, and her dating game kept getting sharper. Who could stop her now? She had everything she wanted at her fingertips, and Setsuko knew just how to keep those men wrapped around her finger. By 33, she had snagged herself a well-off CEO in Kumamoto, stacking up a tidy pile of cash that took her lifestyle to a whole new level. With her fresh fortune, she opened 2 high-end bars right in the heart of the city's nightlife scene. This wasn't just any investment, it was a personal fishing pond for reeling in rich men. She didn't just juggle multiple relationships, she mastered the art of keeping them all blissfully unaware. But for all her charm and finesse, she had a ruthless streak. Cross her once, and you'd know it. One day, she found out that her big catch, let's call him Mr. Big, had started seeing a younger, shinier woman. Insulted and enraged, she refused to be left behind. So, she took up poetry, yes, poetry, pouring all her heartbreak into poems about her love and longing. She even published them under the pen name, Setsuko, practically branding herself as a tragic romantic. And crazy enough, it worked. Not only did Mr. Big come back, but a lineup of old flames suddenly reappeared, throwing money her way like she was their last salvation. She was no longer just a woman with a pretty face. She'd become an enigma, someone men were willing to abandon everything for. Her charm wasn't skin deep, it was a lure they couldn't resist. Her past? Just a warm-up. The real game was about to begin. Would you fall for Setsuko's charm? Hit that subscribe button for the rest of her story. By the time Setsuko hit 47, she was living the dream. She'd built a billion-yen mansion back in her hometown of Kumamoto and named it the Princess Palace, moving in with her mom like the queen she felt she'd become. Now, her social circle was top tier, not just rich businessmen but politicians too. She knew exactly how to get them hooked without even asking for a dime. As she put it, these men lined up to shower her with cash and gifts, eager to win her favor. With her elite connections, Setsuko's lifestyle hit peak extravagance. She rode in luxury cars, wore designer jewelry every day, and even spent a cool 8 million yen on cosmetic surgery to keep herself looking young. But her ultimate indulgence? Hiring young hosts. She dropped between 200,000 and 300,000 yen in one night at upscale clubs, an expensive but necessary way to treat herself after all the time spent handling older men's attention. But living large didn't come cheap. One bad decision piled onto another when she vouched for a friend's business loan, 20 million yen she couldn't cover when his company went under. Add her personal spending to the mix, and she found herself buried in debt to the tune of 1 billion yen. Worse still, that same year, her older benefactors started cutting ties. None of them were interested in funding her lifestyle anymore. The harsh truth hit hard. At 51, she couldn't keep relying on her looks and charms to keep the money rolling in. The fall from the top was brutal, but it also snapped her back to reality. This time, she knew she'd have to make her own cash. No more chasing men's wallets. And just wait till you hear what she did next. Trust me, it only gets crazier from here. In 2010, at the age of 55, Setsuko stirred things up again. Through a friend's introduction, she dove into the world of private lending, offering investors sky-high interest rates with the promise of safe returns in installments. It might sound like an obvious scam now, but back then, this model was booming. With weak regulation, it spread like wildfire. To lure in more people, Setsuko created a referral system, bring in a new investor, and based on their investment amount, you get a nice little bonus. Using her sharp social skills and well-rehearsed lines, Setsuko built herself a thriving empire, climbing right to the top of her personal pyramid scheme. In 2011, she took it up a notch, claiming she was the private finance rep for huge companies like Sharp and Toshiba, saying they were facing financial trouble and needed funds urgently. Her performance was so convincing that she pulled in wave after wave of trusting investors, eventually pocketing a whopping 2.7 billion yen in just 2 years, landing her back on top. Once the money was flowing, Setsuko returned to her lavish lifestyle. In 2015, at 60 years old, she took a trip to the Philippines and instantly fell for the exotic allure of the place. Soon enough, she spotted a 32-year-old local host, tall, muscular, standing at 6 feet. After a trial run, she was thoroughly impressed and decided to sponsor him, even buying him a luxurious mansion in Manila. But this wasn't a no-strings-attached arrangement. They signed a love contract. The conditions? The host had to quit his job, stay away from all other women, and avoid dating. Setsuko, on the other hand, kept her freedom to pursue other men. Each month, she paid him a hefty 1.8 million yen for living expenses, with a penalty clause. If he broke the agreement, he'd have to compensate her fully. As absurd as it sounds, the host reluctantly agreed, settling into his lavish life as Setsuko's kept man. And with that, Setsuko began her routine of hopping between Japan and the Philippines, basking in her extravagant lifestyle to the fullest. In Japan, Setsuko wasn't just dating one young guy. She had a 23-year-old model boyfriend who, when he found out about her new fling in the Philippines, jumped on a plane to confront her. Imagine this, a 60-year-old woman stirring up jealousy between two young men. Is this true love, or just the power of money? For Setsuko, a simple "I'll throw in a little extra" was usually all it took to calm things down. But while she was busy juggling her boyfriends, her financial empire was starting to crack. Each month, the money coming in was barely enough to cover the insane payouts she'd promised. The whole operation was on the edge. By mid-2015, some investors finally smelled something fishy and reported her to the police. Sensing things were about to go south, Setsuko reached out to an old friend in her hometown of Kumamoto, let's call him Mr. Reliable. He agreed to hide her out at his place, so she settled in, acting like everything was just fine. But, of course, Setsuko couldn't sit still for long. She remembered an old flame, a Tokyo host she'd once splurged on, and convinced Mr. Reliable to lend her 5 million yen for a business trip. She blew it all in just 3 days with her Tokyo plaything. And when the money ran out, no problem. Mr. Reliable was still there to foot the bill. In the end, poor Mr. Reliable had unknowingly invested 45 million yen into Setsuko's wild lifestyle. When he finally realized what was going on, he was furious but still willing to give her another chance. But on Christmas Eve of 2015, one final argument ended it all. Setsuko smashed a cake in his face, stormed out the door, and left him standing there, frosting covered and utterly alone. If you're as shocked as we are, drop a comment below. Would you fall for Setsuko's charm? Hit that subscribe button for the rest of her story. Once she fled to Thailand, 61-year-old Setsuko didn't waste any time getting back into her dating game, this time with a 31-year-old local. Even though she could practically be his mother, she shamelessly claimed to be only 38. Setsuko poured money into him. She bought him a house, set up a cattle farm, paid his living expenses, and even covered his mom's medical bills. Her boyfriend knew something was up with her age, but he wasn't about to question it, not with perks like these. They even had a quiet little wedding at home, with a don't ask, don't tell attitude about her real age. Sure, she's 38, he might have thought, as long as the cash keeps coming. Meanwhile, her life back in Japan was falling apart. Her giant Ponzi scheme was unraveling, and Japan had issued an international warrant to bring her to justice. By March 30th, 2017, after nearly 2 years on the run, Setsuko was arrested in Thailand. And, of course, her arrest look made headlines back in Japan: a white off-shoulder top, floral black shorts, a bow headband, and a cutesy pink blush, looking like she was going for youthful innocence. Her mugshot had social media buzzing with jokes like, "Guess pretending to be young got her this far." Extradited back to Japan, Setsuko wasn't going down without a show. She hired top lawyers and showed up in court fully dressed up, trying to keep up appearances. And it worked. Despite defrauding people of a whopping 2.7 billion yen from more than 120 men, she was only sentenced to 7 years in prison. The title of Queen of Scams and Soul Reaper of Men was hers. As for the men she scammed, all they got was a quick, "Sorry, not a penny back." Even from her prison cell, Setsuko kept writing love letters to her husband in Thailand, pouring out her longing. She claimed, "Thinking of him keeps me going." But deep down, does she really believe he'll be there for her when she gets out? She probably knows that's just wishful thinking. After all, she's banned from ever re-entering Thailand. In reality, Setsuko's holding onto this fantasy because she can't face the truth. Her mother died while she was behind bars, her kids cut ties, and her lavish lifestyle and connections have all vanished. Once a high-flying socialite, now she's left alone to reflect on it all. She thought she knew everything about life, about controlling men, until now. Now, forced to sit in silence, she might finally be asking herself, did anyone ever care about her, or was it always just money talking? Imagine this, a series of gorgeous, smooth-talking partners, doting on you day in and day out, but only because you're funding their lifestyle. In that kind of luxury, would you really care about real feelings? Or would you crave something deeper? Let us know your thoughts below, and don't forget to subscribe for more mind-bending stories like this.